Hey, good morning, people. You beautiful. Even the ugly ones. I felt compelled to tell you that. So, I don't know if everyone would count this movie as a horror movie. I'm gonna count it as a horror movie. It's rather horrific to me in a personal way. So, the rule of Jenny Penn is unlike any movie that I've ever seen. It's got John Lithgow and Geoffrey Rush. Now, Geoffrey Rush plays a judge who's a bit of a dickhead, and he's doing his dickhead judge thing when he has a stroke in court and ends up in a facility where he's being cared for. Um, John Lithgow plays basically like this wild bully who runs the facility any which way he wants to and treats anyone he wants to like dookie butt and worse. So, the reason I don't know if everyone would count this as a horror movie is because it doesn't have too many of the traditional elements of what people think of as horror. You know, there's no monsters, there's no serial killer, there's no, ancient curse or demon possession or ghosts taking over the house. This is nothing like that. It's basically, like I explained it, a guy ends up in a stroke who's used to being in command of everything around him. He suddenly has no command of anything around him, including his own faculties or the use of his limbs. And he enters a home, like a nursing home. He has no family. He has nobody close to him. And although he was a judge, somehow he ends up in this piss poor facility. I don't know exactly. They don't really try to explain that off. One of the guys says to him at some point, "Oh, you just pissed away your pension, eh?" And it's like, yeah, you're a judge. You'd probably be pretty well off by the time you retired. But, the world turns in a lot of weird ways, and athletes who make millions of dollars end up broke. So it can't be too surprising that a judge could end up broke as well, because they're just people. So, it's a judge. He has a stroke. He's broke, so he ends up in this piss pot facility where John Lithgow somehow just has a run of the facility. He enters any room he wants to anytime he wants. He half tortures anybody that he feels like. And he is crazy, so he carries around this little doll with him that he talks through, and he also talks in his own voice, but he talks through the doll voice as well. And he uses the doll to kind of be like nasty. And when I say nasty, you might think in your head like, he's irritating or whatever, then he's a jerk. But it goes pretty far. They get pretty deep into the weeds with it, and ultimately the final act, I wasn't really expecting them to go there with it. I wasn't sure where they were going to go. But I wasn't fully expecting them to go there with it, so it gave me a little bit of a whoa. Now, all that said, the horrific part of this movie for me was not John Lithgow's creepy character, although he did some terrible things, and, he was definitely a dickhead. Geoffrey Rush in this movie as a stroke victim who is rapidly accelerating downward with his condition, everywhere from his mental faculties to his physical capabilities are being stunted. And you can tell how much is bothering him. And in this movie, that's the part that I found horrific. I love to read, I love to write, I love to draw. I sing in a band, so I'm always learning new songs. I mean, I've learned probably 80 songs where I just know the words and are able to sing them in front of a crowd of people. And so it's like, if I were to start losing my mental faculties, that would be horrific. Like, truly. And due to the fact that my father's already had stroke in his life, that makes my likelihood go up by whatever, 28% or some nonsense. So it's almost like a personal story for me. Losing your mental faculties is probably the most horrific thing that I can think of for me personally. If I were to start, I mean, of course, I haven't lost any of the other things. I could chop my leg off and be like, this is way worse. I don't really know. But what I do know is that aspect of this movie worked for me really well. It was chilling. And Geoffrey Rush is just killer. He's just killer, man. I've always loved John Lithgow. So everything that he's ever been in, I think he was awesome in. Even if I've never seen it, I'm sure he was awesome in it. The first time I saw Raising Cain, I was like, this fucking guy. So, I gotta watch Cliffhanger. He was so good in Cliffhanger. I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid, and I loved it. I got a feeling that movie's still gonna hover pretty high. Sheesh. Sorry for the distractions. Yeah, losing your mental faculty and being able to, what I consider, accurately portray it on a screen when it's never actually happened to you. This is peak acting. This is one of those movies where his performance is the pinnacle of what acting is supposed to be. Because how do you deteriorate in front of a camera without actually deteriorating? It was remarkable. And that alone holds this movie up. John Lithgow's character is a little too crazy, a little too over the wall, a little too straddling the fence of psychopathy. Although I still enjoyed him because he always hams it up. But the real performance in this movie is Geoffrey Rush, just losing his mental faculties realistically in front of you on camera. And it's a sad thing to see. The worst part of this movie is the fact that John Lithgow's character walks around this business, which is filled with employees, and reports are being turned in on him, and just nothing's happening. He's just got full run of this facility. He just walks around it whenever he wants, walks in anyone's room whenever he wants at 3 o'clock in the morning, and just does whatever he wants, and there's not a camera in the place. No one can see what he's doing. No one, you have to really suspend disbelief to even start watching this movie. So you have to do that. I wish they had found a way to I wish they had written a better, setting into the movie, and it would have made it for a better film, because it was the fact that they were in this facility and he was able to just run roughshod around it and nobody ever stopped him or tried to or even gave any inkling that they had any idea what was going on. It was very weird, and that created a rift between the movie and the setting of the movie. So, location. I'm going to give this movie a 7. It could have easily been higher than that if a few things were different. But the performances just took it to at least a watchable place. I would suggest this movie for anyone who wants just a creepy, unsettling little tale. I got you on that one. Well, I didn't write it. Someone else got you on that one, and I informed you about it. Have a good day.